So we're doing comedy hour, revived my comedy, and I really want to talk about getting around, how people get around with their transit, um, all this stuff about Trump these days, talking about traffic's going up in cost, everything's going to go up in cost, and they're battling back and forth with every single piece of traffic going up in cost these days. But back in the day, China, they had their little mini cars that are like gas free. U.S., they have their big transit system. Uh, Africa, they have some kind of jeeps they get around on the hills of Africa. They got little old jeeps that fall apart when you go over a bump. There goes the window. That hook over a bump. Honk the horn. Honk, honk, honk. You gotta move the elephants out of the way. Honk, honk, honk. Move the elephants out of the way. Bump for the bump. There goes the door. But it's fun. Old vehicles were the best. Growing up, maybe some of you have memories of your dad having a certain kind of car. Back in the day, old car brings back a lot of memories. Now, it's like you wouldn't have a Ferrari, you wouldn't have a Corvette, you wouldn't have that fast-speeding race car. And growing up in the mountain, you're always going uphill. So you can't really have a car when you live in the mountains. I mean, mountain. It's not like Key West flat. But another thing, you have to go up a mountain. You live on a mountain. It's a mountain. So you cannot have a car. You cannot have a motorcycle. You have these bumps and you have all these little hills, and hills can knock you out if you have motorcycles. Motorcycles are more for like Russia. They have their motorcycles, they drive around on Russian motorcycles, chasing bad guys, shooting bad guys in movies all the time. When you live in the mountain, you got the river. When you slip, that's your ride. You fall off the mountain, you fall into the river, splash, and you slide down on your ass 2 feet down the mountain. That's your ride. You don't have a Corvette, you don't have a fancy Jeep like you drive in Africa over bumps that falls apart every 10 seconds. There goes a bolt. $10 on bolts now, $100 on bolts because of Trump's traffic. So all the Jeeps in Africa are falling apart. But you got all those old style vehicles in Russia, all those old tanks, old Russian tanks, all those old Russian cars. Those look so, in movies, futuristic, like you never see them anymore. Drive around in those little green motorcycles. You never see that stuff anymore, in old Russia. And then you have stuff in China, have other, well, we've got now the mini cars, gas-free cars, little tiny cars you sit in and you can drive. Look at a little window. Yeah! Ah! You don't have that big honking horn like a beeping American car. Oh! Like the best American car is like the Ford truck. It could take a beating on anything. But some of those cars of the world, you cannot get them anymore. And that's the one thing I want to talk about today, was the old memories of cars you enjoy, and bringing back that old style of vehicle. Maybe you want to sit in an old Corvette, old Trans Am, you want to sit in an old Jeep, Ferrari, something you want to have a memory of. Future, who knows what's going to happen. traffics are going to be jumping up to $10 million for a $200 car. Who knows? Trump, with traffic is a bit of a wagon of his own. Another thing I could talk about is the Westerns. In the Western days, they didn't have vehicles, they had wagons, they had horses, and the horses would pull you. And if the horse went too fast, you have to go, whoa, slow down. You're not going to be honking in the horn. Slow down the horse. You're going too fast, man. Slow down. You have an old whip and you go, slow down. And the wagon hits a rock and you go flying up the wagon. Wow. Old days like that are long gone. These days you got like your future spaceship, like a flying saucer, if you want to call a flying saucer a car. You go to bed, you fall asleep, then an hour later you get beamed up in the ship and you can have your flying saucer ride. You can have an exam if you want. They can examine you. I've been abducted. I've been on a futuristic transportation called UFO. Yeah, nobody else knows about it. Whatever ride you enjoy, man, that's the ride you're on. Thanks for watching boxcarrichard. My comedy hour, reviving my comedy from time to time. We are from deep in Hollywood. Thanks for watching.